Hey guys, it's Mike. I'm going to talk to you about brawlers right now. I'm going to first tell you how to get them, what they are. You can only get them as a rather rare drop from PvP or Bounty Hunter. If you use them in a PvP world or a Bounty Hunter world, they will give 1.5 XP multiplier, and if you use them in the wilderness, it'll give 4 times the amount of normal XP. So they're for power training, basically. Right now I'm going to talk to you about melee and range brawlers, and where to use them, how to use them. And melee brawlers affect obviously the melee skills, attack, strength, and defense. Range brawlers only affect ranged. Right now I'm using the melee brawlers underneath the edge of the dungeon. There are the druids right there. So the skeletons I'm at because you get 1,000 shots or hits with these brawlers, and so I'm striving for accuracy so I can get the most XP out of every hit. So I've got my salve amulet on with really high attack bonuses, and this it's pretty safe. It's kind of close to a bank, and everything here is aggressive, so it's going to be really hard for you to die. You can also use your melee brawlers in other spots like the Bounty Hunter crater, but it's a little bit easier to die there. You're farther away from a bank, and it's just not as safe. I would recommend the skeletons for some lower levels. If you're above 90 in a combat stat, or if you're like 80 or 70, I wouldn't train here. I would move on to either the Bounty Hunter crater or the ghosts, which I'll talk about next, because everyone knows where the Bounty Hunter crater is and what to use in there. Next are the ghosts after you completed Summer's End and Spirit of Summer. A lot of people will be like, wait, what, you're training at the ghosts? Yeah, you train at the ghosts because if you go here into the spirit realm and then close all the coffins and then go back in the regular world, a couple level 79 ghosts will be there. They're really accurate if you don't have really high defense, so I'd recommend you pray. Also, because they drop prayer pots a lot, pretty frequently. An uncommon drop they have is spirit shields, which are worth about 500k, so you'll make some money here. If you're using range brawlers, you should always use a crossbow with high ranged attack offense gear. No void, just use dragonhide. Never use chinchompas when you're training with ranged brawlers because, like I said, they degrade every hit. So using one chinchompa on a 3x3 area, if you hit 9 targets, you lose 9 charges. So every 100 chinchompas you throw, you will lose 900. Could potentially lose 900 charges. So they don't hit very high. It's much better to use like runite bolts or even broad bolts. If you get attacked, especially out here, this is a really safe area because of that portal right there. Because while you're in level 30 wilderness in the real world, as soon as you go here, you can teleport because this is the spirit realm, not the wilderness. But if you do get attacked and you don't have the ring, or say you're not training here, you're training like the Bounty Hunter crater, I recommend you bring dragon hide so the mage splashes, and I would recommend you bring a dragon spear so you can use the shove special attack to potentially get them into aggressive monsters, and then you have maybe a couple seconds to get a head start on running. Alright, next up is magic brawlers. These are also really popular. A lot of people say you should stun or alch with these, or stun alch, but that's just not true because unlike chinchompas, these last about 800 spells, and hitting the mummies or apatol monkeys or rock lobsters counts as one spell. So with these you can get a lot of XP in a short amount of time. Just be careful, bring dragonhide and maybe some brews, some food. You can barrage and run away to get away from somebody. Pretty easy. Alright, next is thieving brawlers. There's a dispute whether pyramid plunder or the thieving guild are better. I'd do the thieving guild, but you can do either one. Just make sure you don't do the rogues. Those are awful XP. Next is wood cutting. A lot of people do the oaks in Bounty Hunter in the wilderness, but don't do that. Those are bad XP. Do ivy. And next are mining brawlers. I see a lot of people doing coal with these, coal is alright, but I would much rather do mithril or adamant ore here at the hobgoblin mine. Yeah, it's a little bit more risky because it's a lot deeper, but it gives you a lot more XP. You should never do things like granite or sandstone, or you should never power mine iron ore because these only last, I think, 700 ore. It could be less. shouldn't use a Sacred Clay pick because all that does is cut the time the brawlers are in use in half, so they'll only last half as many ores as they should. Alright, next is smithing. To get to this spot, you use the, I think it's called Dariac teleport on the Ancients spellbook. It's right by a portal you can get into a Jenica's ring, so it's pretty safe. It's right by 20 wilderness, so you can teleport out. If you're gonna smith here, I would recommend using a Sacred Clay hammer, just because smithing is pretty expensive and you should do plate bodies to save time. Alright, next we're going to talk about hunter brawlers. These are pretty self-explanatory. You just use them here. This is a really dangerous spot. It's a little bit east of Clan Wars. You're right by a multi-zone. It's pretty dangerous. Hunter brawlers last for a good amount of XP, but I would recommend bringing a familiar with extra food or potions. Alright, next are fishing. This is way northeast of Clan Wars, north of the dragons, around 35 wilderness. Fishing brawlers aren't that great, I think. They take a long time to fish lobsters. I think they last, I don't know how many fish they last, I'm guessing around 600, like mining brawlers. And this is a fairly uncommon spot for people killers to come. There's another spot by the bandit camp that people killers go to a lot. Agility brawlers. These brawlers last a lot of XP if you use them right, but it's pretty hard to use them without dying and losing them unless you go in Bounty Hunter +1, in which case you'll get attacked a lot. There's no bank nearby. There's a multi-zone as soon as you come out of the arena, so your best bet would be to, I guess, log out on top of some guy or try the ladder hopping. But the best way to use these brawlers is to save them for this spot right here. When you get the course bonus, you'll get about 2k XP every time you finish the course, and they last for, I don't know how much XP, but it's good. Next, fire making brawlers. These are the only ones I would recommend you use in Bounty Hunter +1. The reason is because the save zone is a lot closer and you can't use much food here. If you want to get good XP, use magic logs. Use U logs if you can't afford magics, but they last about 1,000 logs. Alright, cooking brawlers. Use a bunyip when you use these because his swallow whole scrolls will allow you to eat raw sharks if someone attacks you before you finish cooking. So it essentially lets you carry a full inventory of food. You gotta make your own fire. I use magic logs because they last the entire time. Some people use U logs, they also last the entire time, but I just use magics. The only pair of brawlers that I didn't talk about were prayer brawlers, and that's because you use them the same way you would train prayer in a player-owned house, gilded altar. You can't really get attacked there, because if it's your altar, you can't. So those don't need explaining. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will be coming out with another PvP video in the future. So comment, rate, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.